Hello, this is Micah. 8 years ago, I made my first animation called The Promise. Yeah, I was 19 and I just randomly decided to cut up a bunch of pieces of paper. This is how small the frames were, and draw one picture after another to make a little flipbook type animation. And well, what started out as just some kind of weird experiment turned into an obsession. I've been making animation ever since. I was thinking, why did I even try that in the first place? Animation is a natural extension from drawing, so if you already draw a lot, then it's not too surprising if you end up making an animation. But what inspired me to actually make my own animation was two main sources. I was watching Ren and Stimpy one night and I noticed that the animation itself was fairly limited and the drawings were really grotesque and anatomically incorrect and exaggerated. So I felt like I could try to do something like that, because when you watch a Disney film, you know, it's animated at 24 frames a second and there's just so much technical ability behind the animation that it's kind of intimidating. You'd need 100 skilled artists to pull that off. But seeing Ren and Stimpy, the animation on that show, it made me feel inspired to try to make something weird. And then the other thing was I saw a music video by Chad Van Galen, who is a musician but also an animator, where he writes all his songs, but he also animates the music videos for them. And seeing this person as living proof of a one-man studio, it really inspired me to try to give it a shot, because if he could do it, then I would want to do that as well. And that's not to undermine the quality of Chad Van Galen or Ren and Stimpy. It's just to say that anything is possible. The story of this animation is really random. There's really no story. It was just straight ahead animation, which means you draw one picture and then you put a piece of paper over it and then you draw the next from start to finish. So what this naturally leads to is a sequence of events that may not necessarily be too logical, or the volume of characters will change gradually because each time you draw it, it's shrinking and growing in size. So it has a very dreamlike or nightmarish quality to it. But I'll just go ahead and show you the frames. Inside this box are the hundreds of frames that make up The Promise. So I learned animation just by doing it, and the movements in this first attempt are very crude. I didn't have a light box to work with, so I was kind of just guessing where the movements were. And most of the animation was animated on smaller frames. And I was working on a Dell computer using Windows Movie Maker, which is not well suited for this type of project because it crashed all the time. And after I scanned in all these drawings and added them into Windows Movie Maker, the file got corrupted. So then I had to re-add each individual frame, save them as different names. So that was definitely a headache. But the best way to learn anything is just to start doing it, because it's not going to be perfect. You'll never be ready. You just have to start with one little step and then don't give up. I know that's really cliche advice, but it's the truth. It's really just that simple and that hard. The frame rate I was using was only about 8 frames per second, 8 or 6 frames a second. So the movement is very choppy in the animation. It normally takes about 10 frames a second, I think, to make fluid animation. 12 frames a second's pretty darn good, but anything under 10, it definitely just starts to look like individual drawings going by, like a really fast slideshow. Thanks for watching. If you want to see the full animation, you can click on the animation video on the screen. And if you enjoyed what you saw, you can subscribe and click the bell icon to keep up to date on future videos. Well, other than that, I'm working on more animation tutorials and music, and you can visit my website micahbuzan.com to learn more. Bye.